Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the INT Goku Black, and we're going to see just how good he is after his Extreme Z Awakening. Now this guy is pretty good. 150% Future Saga lead, 100% INT type lead. I always feel like they could go a bit higher on these leader skills, but it is what it is. Greatly raises defense for 1 turn on his 12 key with a medium chance of stunning, and greatly raises attack and defense on his 18 key. In terms of his passive, he has key plus 3, attack and defense of 160%. He gets an additional attack and defense of 8% each time key rises up to 160%. He gets key plus 3 when key is 18 or more. He launches an additional super attack when key is 22 or more. And he has a key plus 6 and a high chance of performing a critical hit for the rest of battle after delivering the final blow. He recovers 6% HP when HP is 66% or above, and recovers 6% HP at the end of turn in which an attack was received. He has a rage mode which can be activated when HP is 66% or less starting from the 6th turn. Now in terms of build, you're going to want to build this guy mainly with additional and low bit of crit. If you're someone who's desperate to use him to achieve no item runs, you probably want to give him some evasion to evade some of those AoE attacks. Me, I don't care about that, so I build him with full additional, and I'm going to build him with a little bit of crit so that I can get those juicy triple super attacks and hopefully get those finishing blows to give him that crit chance. Super Saiyan, Fear and Faith, Kamehameha, Dismal Future, Big Bad Bosses, Fierce Battle, and Legendary Power are his link skills. He's on Realm of the Gods, Potara, Future Saga, Time Travelers, Kamehameha, Exploding Rage, Inhuman Deeds, Corroded Body and Mind, Accelerate Battle, Worldwide Chaos, Power Beyond Super Saiyan, and Power of Wishes. His Rage mode can be activated as mentioned before, greatly raises attack and massively raises attack on his 12 and 18 key, and gives him key plus 6 with an additional key plus 2, and attacks effective against all types. This guy is pretty good. His attack and defense are worked out multiplicatively, so the additional 8% per key meter is calculated separately, which means at 20 key he actually has attack and defense of 576,000, which means, for example, his 170k defense that you see there in terms of his kind of abilities there, that actually changes quite substantially. So that will instead become around about 600, maybe 650k before factoring in the greatly raising defense as well. So what that means is he's sitting at a pretty decent defensive position after he fires off his super attack, and that any follow-up normal attacks will, generally speaking, set him up to be in a pretty good situation. Now obviously the big thing is the amount of key. So where are you going to get that key from? Now the big issue is probably his first turn. He has a couple partners that can give him some really solid key. So if we're talking strictly key, the AGL Fusion Zamasu is an excellent selection, as he shares with him Fear and Faith, Dismal Future, and Big Bad Bosses, which is incredibly important. Dismal Future gives him 2 key and a 5% crit chance at max level, and Fear and Faith gives him 2 key as well. So those two together give him 4 key, not to mention the AGL Zamasu gives him an additional 2 key. On the other end of the spectrum, in Transforming Goku Black is a 2 key and 30% support, who also is able to help out this Goku Black. You also have great floating supports on the Future Saga teams, being Zamasu and Gowasu, and also INT Mai. On the Extreme team, you do have orb changes in the form of the Tech Zamasu, who can also be utilized as well. So getting key for him is not too bad, and once you get him to the 18 key threshold, he's essentially guaranteed to get his 20 key, which is realistically what you really want. The 20 key threshold is really where this guy kind of sits with a really good position. So that 20 key threshold is obviously his max out in terms of attack stat, but if you can get him to 19 key, then you can guarantee that 22 key, which obviously gives him that additional super attack, which is also very important for him. So with that additional super, his defense raises quite substantially, and we're starting to look at a unit that can get very close to the 1 million mark in terms of after super defense. In fact, with a couple supers, he can even breach that 1 million mark quite easily, especially if you have him at a rainbow or additional stat level. The big thing for this guy is always going to be that first dupe. That first dupe not only is going to augment that raw defensive stat, but he is also going to gain a significant amount of value outside of being able to add in equips and also being able to add in additional into his kit. Now, in terms of equipment and such, obviously again depends on how you want to build him, but for me, I personally just find that he's really solid. I like him with that additional. I like him with a bit of crit. I think it sets him up nicely to enter into his state when he gets the final blow, and he can look really good. I think overall 20 million attack stats are really probably impressive enough that they hit well enough, hard enough, even without having a crit every time. However, of course, having a bit of crit does mean that you can get some good results, and if you can finish some of these events early on, or finish their beginning phases quite early on, then I find that you tend to have a pretty good time with them in general. Of course, link leveling is incredibly valuable for this guy, and we'll talk about that a little bit more near the end of the video, but as an extreme unit, link leveling is incredibly powerful. Now, the rage mode is pretty good. The heal from him is also pretty solid. You're looking at 12% a turn, which, considering how much the AGL Zamasu also heals, does help him out quite a bit. Yeah, this is a character who, at the end of the day, can actually have a pretty decent base standard of healing alongside Zamasu. And now you're looking at healing close to 30% per round. It's pretty valuable. Now, again, in terms of link leveling, obviously incredibly valuable for this guy. Yeah, when we look at his link leveling, obviously stand out his big bad bosses, which is huge for him, 25% start of turn. But you also have Dismal Future as a big one for him. It's 2 key, but it's also 5% crit chance, which is something that obviously he really does benefit from. Outside of that, Fierce Battle is probably your next most common, and then Legendary Power follows suit. Fear and Faith is relatively common amongst the extreme class enemies, but doesn't give you too much. And Kamehameha and Super Saiyan, although being very common, aren't that common outside of Goku Black on the extreme level. So although you are able to get value out of it, you're more getting value out of other Goku units, and that's just a bit weird. He also doesn't have Prepared for Battle like some of the other Goku Blacks, so you don't have that as a source of ki as well. Ideally, if you're prioritizing this guy, prioritize Big Bad Bosses and Fear and Faith, or alternatively Big Bad Bosses and Dismal Future, as those are going to be the links that are primarily going to help you out. And ideally you want to prioritize Fear and Faith and Dismal Future. Any unit that has both of his key links is obviously a natural fit for him, especially if you're not going to in some way get the final blow, because you're going to need that 4 key. If you obviously get the final blow, then shifting units off rotation to prioritize other links is probably good to go. There's plenty of decent partners for him. Tech Zamasu, the LR is a decent partner for him. AGL Zamasu is a decent partner for him. Tech Rose Zamasu is a decent partner for him. The transforming INT Goku Black is a good partner for him. However, of course, they're both second slot units, so that's not great. And the same can be said with INT Merge Zamasu. Decent linking partners all around, except that Merge Zamasu and Transforming Goku Black kind of don't hit the first slot requirement to kind of cater to this guy. With that being said, there are also some other interesting Fear and Faith options that you can also run as a first slot tank if you have the right kind of team build. We're looking at units like Super Buu and units like Janemba, who give him Fear and Faith and Big Bad Bosses, and so at the end of the day are relatively solid choices for him. Outside of that, that is kind of it in terms of his base linking partners. He can also actually reasonably link okay with Omega Shenrons and Sin Shenrons, because they have Fear and Faith, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, Big Bad Bosses, and so that's also a pretty solid kind of beef for him. With that being said, overall he's a good unit, and I think he's excellent, and yeah, AoE attacks aside, I think he's actually incredibly good. So I'm looking forward to using him in a lot of content. I think he's a ton of fun. Is he the perfect foil for this master team? Maybe not perfect, but like 9 out of 10. So really, really awesome unit. And yeah, bye.